Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is episode number 207 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode's brought to you by Couch Town Coffee. I drink Couch Town. A lot of my friends now drink Couch Town, and I'll tell you what, I love it. It's great coffee. If you drink coffee, that's pretty much everybody, but if you drink coffee, I highly suggest checking out Couch Town Coffee. It's roasted right here in Iowa. Like I said, it's my favorite coffee. I drink it every morning. This is a rare occasion where I don't have a cup next to me while I'm recording parts of this. However, the podcast, it's been great, and the coffee sponsorship has been here forever. I mean, it's been with us for maybe 3 years now. It's the one local sponsor I found that I loved, that I enjoyed, and struck up a nice little sponsorship with. So thank you very much, Couchtown, and everybody is highly suggested to check it out. I'm not just saying this stuff because they're telling me to. I'm saying this stuff because I actually enjoy the coffee, and I get Couchtown. I'll tell you what, I buy it about every month or so because I buy so much of it. But you can buy just a pound a month, every month from them, whatever you want. Make your own schedule. They'll roast it specifically for you and ship it directly to your house. So if you want to make an order every month to get the freshest coffee you can have, that'd be the best way to do it. Otherwise, I get a couple months at a go, and so I order about every 2 months. But holy moly, it's still leagues better than any coffee you can buy on the shelf in just about any grocery store anywhere. So highly worth it. If you guys are looking for a new coffee to try, you want to try something new, check it out, couchtowncoffee.com. Thanks, Couchtown. This episode's also brought to you by the Audible Farm Patreon page. All the patrons over there, absolutely big thanks to each and every one of you. It costs just $1 a month, and you can watch video versions of the podcast. And we've already got a lot of patrons over there. Thank you guys very much. And yes, you guys are partly responsible for every single episode that comes out now. So I definitely just figured it'd be worth announcing. If you guys want to be one of those members, check it out. Go to Patreon channel, patreon.com/audiblefarm. Thanks. This episode is a solo episode, which is kind of crazy. I try my best never to do these, and I've done quite a few, which is horrible. I don't know. But believe it or not, there's actually a few people that have reached out, and they're like, I actually like the solo episodes because you get to talk about stuff that you want to talk about. And it's like, I guess I never thought of it, that way. Or I thought my opinion mattered enough that somebody would want to hear it. No, I'm just kidding. But still, I mean, it's weird. It's not like I tackle hard-hitting topics or anything, but I do talk about a few things in this episode, and I don't know. I enjoy it. I talk about the differences that I can see between people that have a job and play music and don't have a job and play music, and what other factors I can see that just amaze me about musicians. And then I also talk about the Facebook group for Audible Farm and some of the Facebook changes that have happened, and then I get into talking about the shop and talking about some of my buddies' podcasts. And yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff going on in Iowa. Music, podcasts, art. It's all firing on all cylinders now. It's crazy. So yeah, if you guys want to hit me up about something you got going on, hit me up. Otherwise, enjoy this episode. It's episode number 207, and it is a solo episode.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
What's up, everybody? I'm sitting down solo this week, and I don't really have much written down. As a matter of fact, I have nothing. I've got nothing here, but I do have a few topics I had kind of thought of on the fly. And first is I was talking to somebody the other day, and they had mentioned that they thought it was wild that I had time to do all the stuff I do, which made me think there's a lot of people out there a lot busier than I am, doing a lot crazier stuff. And I'm not just speaking in general. It's just like the music scene is full of so many people that have, jobs and families and other jobs and then play music and et cetera, et cetera. So I guess like what I'm doing is pretty neat because I'm doing a lot of stuff, but at the same time, there's a lot of people out there doing so much more. I mean, there's people out there. I've said it before that like support the music scene more than I do, and I mean, I feel like I do a pretty good job, but at the same time, there's only so many hours in the day for me or anyone to do what we need to do all the things we want to do, especially when it comes down to playing music or spending time with your family or working or whatever. There's just not enough hours in the day for anything. And it's pretty fun, having a job and staying busy and doing all that stuff. I give guitar lessons to a few people, and it's fun to have the ability to give back in some capacity or another, whether or not it's having a podcast or writing reviews or whatever anyone does. There's people out in the music scene that have radio stations and things like that support the local music scenes around them, and there's people out there that publish like all the events and things like that. I did a pretty decent job of it for a while. And hopefully I'll remember to get back into that topic. I'll make a note for myself for that one. But yeah, I got into sharing Facebook events and the events page. And I mean, there is an Audible Farm page. I guess it's a group. It's a Facebook group where you can go in, you can become a member, and you can share your events and kind of find out who else is playing music and ask questions and see who responds and things like that. Plug your merch or whatever else you got coming up. There's people sharing all sorts of goofy stuff in there, but no, I wouldn't say. Every now and then there's a weird post, and most of them are just like, you know what? I guess this is their art or this is their thing, and they're putting it in there. Or this person's a comedian, so you got to give them free reign to just put that out there because it is what it is. But I absolutely love having a group like that, and people still post in it. But yeah, there's tons of people out there with jobs and things like that. I'll come back to the Facebook group. But yeah, there's lots of people out there with jobs and things like that do all sorts of stuff for the music scene. So it is pretty wild that I guess, I have a job and play music. But then I turn around and I look, and it made me think about how there's people out there that are in the music scene that only play music, like that's their job. And I think, and I'm just like, wow, that'd be cool, to go out there 4 or 5 days a week and just play music, and that'd be your job. And then I think like, well, if that was your job, it might get monotonous like a regular job. And there's people, oh, I love doing this. This is great or whatever. But I mean, you feel that way about a lot of things until you have it as your job. And I'm not saying it would be a bad or not fun thing, but I'm sure that would come with its own stressors that would be, after a while would kind of wear on somebody. So, I think it's wild that there's people out there that play music and can live off of it. It's wild. It's cool. They're out there doing it. It's tough. It's not easy. Every single night, like you don't get to go out and party and hang out with your friends, but you can go out to another town and entertain some people. That's the job. But it's kind of crazy to think that that's a thing that other people are out there doing. They don't get to spend time with their friends and family, and you almost have like an opposite work schedule. Like you work a second shift. I mean, it's afternoon. As soon as everyone gets off work from their jobs, you have the car loaded and you're on the road to your gig, and then you don't get home until well after midnight, and then back at it again. It's kind of weird to think about that, So I guess I don't know. The concept I was thinking of today was just how it's crazy that there's. It takes all kinds of people, but it's wild to think that yes, there's people that have a job and play music, but then there's people that have a job and play music and give guitar lessons, one night a week. And then there's people that, play music and have a podcast. And I'm not the only one that does that either. There's people out there, plenty of people out there doing that. And there's people out there that, play music and have a job and have a family, and I have a family. Everyone's got a family of some sort to an extent, but, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. There would definitely be scenarios where people wouldn't, but, I don't have, that aspect of my life, really to worry about. So it's all just like, that's something I don't have to think about. That's a time consuming thing that I don't have on my plate that a lot of people think about. So I guess do with that what you will, but is whatever. So but yeah, it's kind of weird to think that like I don't have anything tying me down in that aspect. So it does give me the ability to kind of have free reign to choose what I want to do with my time. So that might be the benefit I'd say, I guess I have that some people don't have. And I look at that as another thing that, it's wild to think there's people out there with families that are playing music and they have the time to do that, or they have a family that supports it. And that's mind blowing to me too. I mean, it's great. It's just great all around that there's people A, willing to do that, and B, willing to support them. And, that's a great thing. So, if you're a musician and you have a spouse, just let them know how thankful you are that that's around. And if you're a spouse listening to this and you have a musician that you're married to, point them in the direction of this audio and get your dues, because it deserves some praise on both ends. But it takes a special kind of person, I would say, that would want to have much to do with a musician, just based on the fact of how weird the time schedule is and how busy it is. Like, you want to go out Friday? Nope, can't. You want to go out Saturday night? Nope, can't. So the only times you get to do stuff are Saturday morning or maybe early afternoon. And I mean, people that try to get on the podcast understand that too, because I tell them it's Friday and Saturday nights I'm just generally cannot do the podcast and record with people. So it's unfortunate, but it's just the way it is. I mean, I have Friday nights and Saturday nights that are free every now and then, but usually by the time those come around, I want to take the night off and just enjoy myself. But it just comes back to, there's a lot of people with a lot of things going on, and it's kind of wild to sit there and think that any of us have time to play music. I was at Jam Night in Barnum, Iowa. There's a jam night every Tuesday night. Anybody's welcome to show up. It's a lot of acoustic and folk and country and some light rock, and every now and then some heavier stuff gets brought in. It's a little bit of everything. So if you can play something, swing on over and do that. But I was just sitting there and I was there and someone says, I can't believe this is in Barnum, Iowa. And it's I guess I'm desensitized because I've been going there for so long. It's been 4 years I've been going to the jam night there almost. And pretty much since the beginning of this podcast. But yeah, it's wild to think that. And I'm thinking to myself, Barnum is a small town. It's not like it's tiny, but there's really not much there. I don't know what the population is. A couple hundred, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, look it up. It's small. It's right outside of Fort Dodge, but it's just some random town where people from all around come to. And some people come from, almost an hour away. And every now and then I know people that show up. Clint Wheelman, he's a drummer in Three Finger Betty. He's been on the podcast before. He occasionally will drive up, and he lives about an hour and a half away. So it's just kind of, whatever. Whoever shows up whenever they can show up, they show up and play music, and it's pretty wild because every week it's a little bit different. And there's some people from the Fort Dodge scene that show up, and other people from even farther away than Clint traveled will show up, and it's wild because you never know who's going to be there. A couple of those people ended up booking gigs out of the deal, so it's kind of neat that's was an option on those occasions. And I'm not saying that's always going to be an option, but it's wild that those are a thing, and I think that's one of the testaments to the music scene up here is the fact that the bar owners will do that. Sometimes they'll go to other venues and watch people play and then book them for their venues in that capacity. So it's fun that there's those opportunities available to us up here too as well. But it's wild to think that any of us have time to just meet up on a random Tuesday night, it's a weeknight. I mean, that's about the only nights you can do jams. But it's wild to think that we all just stumble to a bar and show up and play music, and it's even crazier that it's good. I know that's I'm not trying to toot all of our horns, but jam nights, generally speaking, jam nights go pretty smooth. I would say that 90% of the different jams that I've shown up to have gone very, very smooth. Excuse me on that. But yeah, it's kind of wild to think that, there's every now and then a sour note or somebody has to figure out where a song's going, and a lot of it's follow the leader kind of stuff. But it's wild to think that it gets pulled off as well as it does, and everybody kind of stays out of each other's way well enough and doesn't step on each other's toes musically. for the most part. And when that happens, you just roll with the punches because, hey, that's jam night. Or the old adage is, that's showbiz, baby. So, yeah, you just let it go. And, I mean, it's wild, too, to think that there's people that will just show up to that to enjoy the music and have a couple drinks at the junkyard and then scoot on out of their merry way. So, yeah, regardless of whether or not you're out there and you have a job and you're playing music, or you don't have a job and just play music, or you play music and all of your other, like, quote-unquote jobs revolve around music. Like, I know people that, like, play music and give guitar lessons or have music shops or et cetera, et cetera. It's just something with music in some capacity that gets them some sort of, money. But it's just wild to think that is also, the people that just play music for a living don't necessarily just play music for a living. But, that's something else to think about too, is those people are also out there with multiple jobs trying to pull in an income. So, regardless of whether or not you have a job and play music, or you don't have a job and you play music, or you have 20 jobs and play music, it's wild to think that we're all out there kind of doing the same thing. And music is such a broad structure that it's so different. Like, go to like an independent, like, rock show in, like, a bigger city and tell me that that's not something fun, or go to a punk show or a metal show and tell me those aren't fun. I mean, I get it. Like, the cream of the crop that a lot of people want to go see is the cover bands, and I get it. You want to hear the songs you want to hear. But yeah, go to one of those and tell me those aren't fun, and tell me, and you'll never sit and think and look at your instrument the same way ever again, For example, like, I play a PVT 60, and a lot of people think, like, oh, that's kind of like a country music guitar. It's like, yeah, it kind of is a country music guitar, but these days people are playing all sorts of stuff on it. And, like, at jam night, I let somebody else use it for a while, and they were playing some Alice in Chains through it, and it's just wild to think that that's a thing too. So, and it sounded great, and it's just crazy. I don't know, the whole concept of music and how broadly it's structured, and how we all come together to kind of play, regardless of what kinds of music we prefer to play. That's especially at jam nights, because I don't sing, so I just follow the leader, and I get to play whatever they play. So. And if it's like, you want to play something, it's like, I do, but I can't sing and play, and I don't know all the lyrics, and then so that turns into a no. And that's how that works. But it's really fun to go out there and do that, and just see how many people show up. And some weeks are busier than others, and some people never go to jam nights and they just go play shows. And that's why I said go to some of those independent shows. Or go see some of the cover bands that are in your area that aren't you. If you're in a cover band, just go check out the other ones. And see what they have to offer, and just enjoy the music, and see that some of the songs you play are the same, and some are different, and the crowd loves it all just the same, and it's all just as enjoyable. So that's I guess in a nutshell. I guess I was just thinking generally about the difference between people who have jobs and play music, or don't have jobs and play music, and I guess I'm wowed by both. So it's wild to think. I guess there was a point in time during this podcast where I was not employed, and I guess I say that in the general sense that, like, I had a job and worked at for a music store. I didn't work at the music store, but I gave guitar lessons through the music store. So that was when there was a music store that was in Humboldt, Trammell Music. It was awesome. It's tons of fun. See it pop up in my Facebook memories every now and then. I had a blast giving guitar lessons out of there. I met a lot of cool people, and some of my best students, that I ever met were right there. I spent so much time with them, and had a place to go give lessons, and lessons slowed down during COVID, as it did a lot of things, and now they're back up and running, and I've got some young promising students coming in, and some students learning new instruments, and it's wild, the talent level of some of the kids these days. I just think, like, I wish I was more open-minded growing up when it comes to music, and what was available to learn, and who was available to teach you those things. So, yeah, I don't know. That's definitely been something else that has passed my mind quite a bit recently, has been how much, like, I've opened up my spectrum of enjoying just general music. When I was younger, I definitely picked a lane and stuck with it. And that's I mean, everyone kind of does that to an extent when you're growing up. You're like, this is the best music. This is the music everyone should be listening to. This is the fun music. Or you go through phases where it's like I went through a rap phase and then I went through a rock phase and then, whatever. But that's just, I feel like that's such a weird thing that a lot of us did. And there's like a lot of younger people that are growing up and they're way more open to a lot of music than I guess I was growing up. The difference, I guess, would be more time has elapsed and more music has come out and they have more to choose from. So maybe they don't have anybody influencing them, telling them, don't listen to this music, it's crappy or whatever. Like maybe that's a thing. Not that anybody was doing that for me, but yeah, I guess like my general thing with that was I just kind of listened to music I enjoyed, and it didn't really pick a lane when I was super young. My parents listened to like oldies, and they barely listened to music. Usually it was on like the radio, and a lot of times the radio was talk radio. So I kind of grew up just picking out whatever songs I liked, and my childhood guilty pleasure was always those like pop bands. I don't know why. They were just probably what was on like all the Now CDs and all that stuff. So I don't know. So I kind of enjoyed a lot of those until I finally found like punk rock music, and then I started swinging into the metal lane, and I just stayed with like that as my general gist of things I enjoyed. And then I started playing the guitar, and it was pretty much like anybody that plays the guitar good is, that's good music. And then it's like, well, what's good guitar? And I was like, well, it's shredding fast with lots of distortion. Then you find out like there's dudes playing bluegrass playing faster than dudes playing metal, like more notes per minute, and you're like, oh, that's crazy. And it's like, oh, they're doing it on a clean guitar channel too. And you're like, what? Like there's what? So that's the kind of stuff where you start to think to yourself, oh, there's different styles of music out there. And even if I kind of get good at one of them, and I will say kind of get good at one of them, I'm still like leagues and leagues and leagues away from being any good at any of the other styles. So that was kind of an eye-opener when I finally started to like learn different styles, whether it be blues, which is like ridiculously dominant in my playing style now, or country, which I'm not the best at. So there's a lot of like blues influence in all of my country playing, and with only a handful of country like kind of licks thrown in there. But that's just, I guess that's kind of what I'm getting at, is like I still wish like, oh, I should have listened to more music growing up. And then, it's like, well, start now. And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't really I'm listening to a lot of podcasts. And maybe I'm turning into my parents. Oh man, that's such a bummer. Everyone turns into their parents. It's inevitable. Just pick the good traits. But yeah, so I listen to a lot of radio, podcasts, excuse me. And I don't really listen to a whole lot of music. And it's, I guess like there's always time to listen to whatever country music or whatever you think to kind of, get good at, figuring out what these people are doing in order, you can listen to it a bunch and kind of get in your brain some of the patterns that you hear frequently, or some of the types of licks or styles that you hear, and kind of trying to emulate them. But yeah, I don't know. That just comes down to like studying and practicing. And recent podcast I did with Eric Lee, I talked with him. It's been a while since I've sat down and like practiced. And like the only thing I've really like practiced in a while is actually the bass guitar. And that's because I started giving bass guitar lessons to a young person that ended up like pretty much coming up to my skill level on the bass. So it's like I have to actually practice this instrument to get better than them and stay ahead of them. And now that's like a game of cat and mouse in that sense, where I have to learn things to teach him. And eventually it's going to come to a point where I'm not going to be able to teach him anymore, and he's going to have to go somewhere else. But that's also going to be fun because, you teach him as much as you can and you send him somewhere else. And I've done that with guitar students before, and they've succeeded very well at the next level with a new teacher. Sometimes that's all it takes too, is just vibing with the teacher. And maybe that's, I remember the teachers I had that I enjoyed, and I just hope that I'm a good guitar teacher for the students that have me. So yeah, I don't know. As far as just generally speaking, I've kind of just sidetracking on a lot of different conversations here. I did mention earlier about the Facebook event page. So I don't know if anybody else's Facebooks, their apps on their phone updated. Mine updated. It looks very not enjoyable. It's not easy to use. It's cumbersome. Some of the things have been worked out and made easier, and some of the things have now been made more difficult, and that's just always what happens with updates. As soon as you get used to one, they're going to update something else. As soon as you get used to an algorithm, they're going to change it, whatever. So I do have an Audible Farm group on Facebook, and the groups are nice because there's like, different music groups, and I'm in like, some PV guitar groups and whatever else. You can choose, there's groups for everything, memes and just all sorts of nonsense. Seinfeld wrestle posting. I don't run it. I don't have anything to do with it. I just sit in the group and laugh at stuff. So, the Audible Farm group, I created that so people could share events and things like that, and people do, and I love it. I used to go in there and just plow that thing full of events. That would pretty much any event that was in Iowa that came across my timeline, I just popped it in there. So it's like events from like past guests, buddies of mine, people I've met at shows, just anything. So there was a bunch of those going in there, and there was constantly like the event list was usually around 200 plus events upcoming that I had just popped in there. And I had finally gotten a handful of people used to just going to the event page and just being like, what's around, and they can check it out that way. And now it's very, 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 very inconvenient. It's very inconvenient for me to do that. And it's not just like a time thing, because it was taking up a lot of time. But now with the new Facebook upgrade, it's update. It's not necessarily as easy for me to post to the page without using like my personal account or something like that. And I don't really want to do that, so I'm just not going to. And that's just my choice. It's unfortunate that Facebook is inconvenient in that fashion, but that's just what I'm going to choose to do. So if you guys want to keep sharing things in there, that would be awesome. That's the best I can tell you. I mean, there's about 500 people in the group, maybe a little bit more, and various forms of interaction go on in there, and I really, really enjoy, I don't know, I just enjoy that. I enjoy this podcast. It was started as a way for people to get to know one another and kind of interact, and that's a fun place to do it. So I appreciate everyone that's done that. People that have been commenting and sharing lately, absolutely love it. Thank you guys very much, guys and gals, everyone in between. I love it. The event page is still there. I still love it. I still check it out. I still get notifications when people post in it. I've been going through randomly every now and then and liking things, but I'm just doing the best I can. There's not enough time, and it's just, like I said, it's just inconvenient. It used to just be as easy as copy pasting an event in there, just straight with the link, and now I gotta change logins and go through a different route to try to post things in there, and it's just not as fun. It's not as fun and easy. But that calendar is still there, and you guys can check that out. Throw your events in there all around Iowa, whatever you got going on. It's definitely worth checking out if you guys want to support the music scene, those around you, see what's going on, or just kind of contribute as a whole. That's why that is there. That's pretty much Audible Farm run by the fans. That's the inmates running the asylum right there. And I absolutely, like I said, I love it when people say new merch, boom, here it is. New music, wham, there it is. Music videos, boom. Events, wham. Whether or not you share the events or flyers, whatever you want to share, you can share. There's some people that just share flyers, and that's cool. The event won't make it on the event page because it's not, but if you share an event link in there, it will show up on the calendar within the group. So I don't know. It's just kind of a fun group. Go check it out. Click on a couple of the little tabs in there and see what goes on and things like that. Otherwise, the Audible Farm Facebook page itself is just, it's the same as it's always been. The only update I made kind of recently was to the shop. I made some updates to the shop, and the shop updates was new hoodies. And I got new hoodies in. I still have a couple pre-orders from people that we're trying to meet up. They swear they're going to make it to, something sometime, or I tell them I'm going to be driving through your town, and then unfortunately it's a day when they're not in town. So I just haven't got their stuff delivered, and but yeah, we're just waiting to meet up with one another. However, I do still have hoodies left. I have small through extra large, and there is limited quantities of small and medium. So if you want those, you better hop on them. Otherwise, I've got a handful of large and a handful of extra large for those people that want those. All the larger sizes I got delivered to people that bought them, snapped them up right away. Of course they did. And they're out there. They're gone. So small through extra large is what I've got there. Or if you don't live near me and you don't know how to contact me, you can't make it to a show ever, just there's an Audible Farm shop. It's shop.audiblefarm.com. There's probably a link down below. Otherwise, just go to audiblefarm.com, click on the links, boom, there you go. Just find them zip-up hoodies, three-color logo on the back. I love it, just love it. Yeah, so hoodies are back in. T-shirts, I've had people commenting about T-shirts. They want, there's a lot of people that want those NWO-style T-shirts back in. I keep saying I'm not going to do it. I might make a different run of an alternate coloring or something. I just don't think I want to have too many of those. Those were just like a special run, once in a lifetime kind of deal. And the blues are all sold out, and I've got limited sizes of the red and black or the black and white. So check those out too. Otherwise, classic Audible Farm shirts, always in stock. I've got a lot of sizes of those. I've got some light gray and some dark gray. I've worn both. I prefer both. Depends on what's going on. I like the dark gray ones because it's understated. You get up close and you're like, ooh, Audible Farm shirt. But from far away, it just kind of looks like a nice little neat design that's against this dark gray shirt. So I don't know. I kind of enjoy those. It's a subtle advertising. I enjoy that quite a bit. Otherwise, there's stickers and things like that on the Audible Farm shop as well. Or find me at a show. I got stickers. I always got stickers. There's always stickers available. Somewhere I've got a sticker. So if you want one, hit me up. Got an Audible Farm sticker. Otherwise, buy them on the shop there. It's always fun to just stash the stickers around places and see how long they stay there and give them to people and see where they stick them. I've been to venues before. I'm like, I didn't stick one of those stickers there, but you know, when you've I don't even know what the quantity would be. When you've had as many stickers as I've had and given them out to guests and things like that, or sold them on the shop or at shows and things like that, man, it's when you give away that many stickers and have that many that you've sold and things, they're going to end up somewhere. So yeah, it's kind of fun to just run into them over and over and over again in different places where I didn't stick them. So if you've got stickers from me and you keep sticking them somewhere, thank you. I appreciate it. Otherwise, I try to find like nice places to stick them where it won't be too, ridiculous. But I still think stickering at, near, or around music venues definitely needs to keep happening. There's most music venues I go to, there's something that's been stickered already that kind of lets you know you can put stickers here. Otherwise, I'm not just like plastering one right in the middle of the mirror on a random bar. That's uncalled for. But I don't know if I can find like the back of like a no parking sign or something like in the parking lot. That's weird. No parking sign in a parking lot. But yeah, if I can find like, the back of a sign like that, that's kind of unobtrusive, I'll slap one on there and be like, wham, this is here. If somebody ever climbs back here, they'll see it. So I try to stick them in like fun places like that where, a passerby might see it, but it wouldn't be seen by just average everyday people. And I don't know. I just love the sticker thing. Putting stickers out everywhere is awesome. I think this is going to be pretty close to the end of this podcast. I do want to just give a couple shout outs to the McAllister Hours. It's been pretty fun. Listen to a couple of the recent episodes. Wild podcast. Absolutely love it. Sent me a clip of a recent one. Definitely worth checking out. Some fun guests on there. Always something different. And that's what makes that one so much fun. Otherwise, go check that one out. Otherwise, Confused Breakfast podcast, located right here in Iowa, is a podcast reviewing movies, and it's very fun. And I've had Mike Schulte on here before, and he doesn't need me to promote his podcast because it's actually that popular. And I know what you're saying, like, well, it's that popular, but no, go back and listen to the Mike Schulte episode, the most recent one. It's insane how popular that podcast got, and for a good reason. Like I am a self-proclaimed not really a movie guy, but I will say that well over half of the movies that they've had on their podcast I've seen. And I bet the average person has seen 50% of the movies on there. And that's everybody, like the average person. Like what was it? I recently watched or listened to the episode with Predator. But they've had Tommy Boy, and like, you know, there's just any classic movie you can think of from like the 80s until now. I wouldn't say till now, 80s, 90s, maybe some of the 90s, maybe a little bit of the 70s. They went on a 70s run there. The Warriors, that was a good one. Mike Schulte said he'd never seen The Warriors. Shame. But then again, I've never seen a lot of the other movies that have been on there. So I will say this. It got me to the point where I started like seeing what episodes were on there. I was like, oh, I must have skipped past this Batman one. So what do? I listen to like 3 minutes of it. I'm like, no, I'm going to watch Batman first. So I watched Batman, and then I got to listen to it afterwards. And I'll tell you what, I probably listened to 20 episodes without watching the movie first, and I've done 2 watching the movie first. It takes a lot more time to watch the movie first and everything, which is, you know, I'm just not a movie guy. I don't like sitting down in one spot forever. But it does help you understand a lot of the niche commenting they're doing on certain things and like little bits and scenes. So funny. It is so funny. Otherwise, they do a great job of like, you remember that one part where this is happening? Well, basically, this happens, and this is why it's ridiculous. And they talk about that stuff all the time. And it's such a fun podcast. It's definitely worth checking out if you watch movies, and guess what? Everyone's watched movies. So go give it a spin. I say just go pull up Confused Breakfast. As a matter of fact, just scroll back and go find the Mike Schulte episode. Click on that one, listen to it. You'll love the guy, and then you'll be like, yeah, I want to listen to more of this guy. Scroll down. Right there is the link to the Confused Breakfast, or confusedbreakfast.com. I'm sure it's that. I don't know why it wouldn't be. But yeah, so check that out. Listen to the episodes. Just scroll through the episodes. You'll find something you'll enjoy. Listen to it. Laugh. Even if it's just for one episode. Thank me later. It's such I don't know. It's a fun one. And like I said, he doesn't need me to promote it. He's doing very well on his own on that podcast. So congrats on the 3 of you over there. Confused Breakfast. Yeah, they're gonna do all their promoting on their own over there. So check that out. Totally worth it. Once again, the McAllister Hours, wild. It's always fun. You never know what's going to come out of that podcast, and that's one of my favorite things about it, I think, is the conversations are all over the map every single week. Sometimes very serious guests come on, and sometimes it's all just fun and games. So, and sometimes he likes to have fun and games with the serious people. And sometimes he likes to get serious with the people that are all fun and games. So that's why, I don't know. That's why I enjoy it. It's really fun to listen to. Check that one out as well. Otherwise, I just got to say thanks for listening to the Audible Farm podcast. And yeah, I'll just say all my thanks in the outro of this, and that's how this is going to run down. So thank you guys, and yeah, I'll see you in the outro. Well, there it is. A little shorty for you. A little nice little short episode. I like to keep the solo ones a little short. I've done longer ones. That's whatever. I don't know. Half an hour is plenty of just sitting, listening, talking to me, and we're already past a half an hour. So, thank you guys for sitting down, listening to me. If you guys want to post anything in that Audible Farm group on Facebook, just have at it. Slam it in there. Otherwise, check out all the Audible Farm social media. You can find links to all of that at audiblefarm.com. Otherwise, it's at Audible Farm. Pretty much anywhere you go, anything you look at Audible Farm. You go shop.audiblefarm.com to find those hoodies I was talking about. There's a link to that down below. Otherwise, audiblefarm.com has links to the YouTube page where you can watch video clips of what's on the Patreon channel. You can watch guitar dip videos. You can listen to the podcast. Wherever you're listening to it now, if you don't want to listen to it here again, or if you're already listening to it on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It makes me smile. It's awesome. It takes like a second for you, and it shows your support, and it'll make me smile for a lot longer than a second. So that's more than the law of equivalent exchange, and I enjoy it so much because you're getting miles of smiles out of me. So otherwise, just follow me on all the social medias, Audible Farm, at Audible Farm, pretty much anywhere you go for social medias. That is definitely there. Once again, that shop, got the hoodies in. Find me at a show, hit me up if you want to save on shipping and things like that. I'll bring hoodies to a show. I'm not scared. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much everything I got for this week. I don't have a whole lot more. Check out the other podcasts I talked about. What's your opinion on people? Who's the busiest? Who's the busiest here? I definitely think it's the people with the families that are out there with a job. It's like, how do you find time for all that? But yeah. otherwise, I'm still amazed by people who are just musicians, and they're not just musicians usually. So hats off to everybody out there making music in any capacity, whether you're in a cover band or in some jam scenes, or whether or not you're in the independent rock scenes or the your local indie scenes, whatever it is. Country, it's all good. It's all crazy. There's so many bands around here doing so much cool stuff. And I guess one last, it's not even really an announcement, but this is definitely something I saw on social media. It's not, I don't know, it's just sad. It's sad. Lefties in Des Moines, the namesake for Lefties, if you've ever wondered, was a three-legged dog. And three-legged dog, that's what the picture is on the back of the stage. That's what everybody knows is their social media. It's a dog with 3 legs and a bandage where the 4th leg should be. So this was a dog that Lefties was named after, and Lefty has passed away. So it's a sad deal. Condolences all around. I've played multiple shows at Lefties, and by multiple I've probably played 30, 40 shows, 50 shows at Lefties. I don't know. I've played a lot of shows over the years at Lefties. So it's a sad deal. And so that's definitely a thing. And I guess I don't know. I'm not the best at consoling people in these times, I guess. I don't know. And this is a podcast, and it's unfortunate that I ended it on a bummer. That's probably not the best way to do it. But happy hunting in over the peaceful rainbow there, Lefty, and I will be out of here. So if you guys have never been to Lefty's, it's definitely worth checking out. It's a fun venue, great sound system, great people. It's definitely cool. It's worth checking out. So check that out. Otherwise, you can check out all the Audible Farm goodness at audiblefarm.com. And I am out of here. Peace.